Good morning, friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to feature 10 foundational plantings that are low maintenance and easy and are going to bring gorgeous curb appeal to your house. So first of all, talking about foundation plants. What is a foundation plant? A foundation plant is something that you plant oftentimes in the front of your house to give it some curb appeal. Maybe you're softening some hard lines. Maybe you're trying to hide something undesirable. Maybe it's like a utility box or something. And just welcome not only yourself, but your guest to your home. So this could be trees, it could be shrubs, it could be a host of things. Often they are evergreen because they will give you that same structure and interest year round. So what we're going to do is we are going to highlight some of our top 10 favorite ones that we use on a regular basis here in our gardens in our North Carolina Zone 8A. Our customers love these plants. Some of them have been on the market for years and some of them are brand new. We're going to kind of divide them into sun-loving shrubs and then some more shade-tolerant shrubs. You can mix these and match these depending on the sun conditions of your home. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. Now, the first one can be a little controversial sometimes, y'all. You either love them or you hate them. What am I talking about? I'm talking about boxwoods. I personally absolutely adore boxwoods. I think they are, for me, they hold a lot of sentimental value, but some people can't stand them. So if you love them like me, then let me introduce you to Sprinter Boxwood. Now, Sprinter is not new on the market whatsoever. It has been on the market for several years now. What makes Sprinter so great is that it is a Japanese boxwood, which makes it more resistant to boxwood blight. It can do sun or shade. That is the one shrub in here that is extremely versatile. You can prune this however you want. If you want to let it go free form, you absolutely can do that. If you want to keep it more tight and compact, you can do that as well. It is extremely versatile. This is going to be hardy in zones 5 to 9, and it basically is going to be anywhere that you can keep it between in that 2 to 4 foot range, okay? So we love this boxwood. It's disease resistant. It is sun or shade, low maintenance. Basically, you're going to prune it once a year. That's what we do. And because of that nice dark evergreen foliage on it, you could put something brighter in front of it. So if you wanted to put some annuals in front of it or some perennials, this will accentuate. And depending on how your house is, it could be in the back of the bed or it could be in the middle of the bed. Extremely versatile, hardy, dependable, love Sprinter boxwoods. Next, and these are in no particular order, right, my friends? This is not like my absolute favorite down to number 10. They are all great plants. Fire Chief Arborvitae. Now, I just added this to our new garden at the house, and Fire Chief is so much fun because it changes colors. You can see that it is already starting to take on that winter hue. It is not dying, it is not dead, it is nice and soft and pliable. It doesn't have, it's not prickly, so you can easily touch it and you don't have to worry about getting poked. This is starting to take on that winter color, hence its name, Fire Chief. So in the wintertime, it will take on this coppery bronze look. It's still nice and bright green down inside, but this has a nice rounded habit to it. This is going to be that full sun rounded habit, like I said, at maturity, a 4x4. Now, this is going to be a little bit bigger, right? Nice rounded shape to it. You really don't need to prune this. Bugs don't like them. I mean, if you need to shape it, I guess you could. I personally have left enough room in my garden so that it can get that 4x4 and be very, very happy. Great evergreen shrub that changes with the seasons, and you're going to love the Fire Chiefs. So we've got those as well. Now, a classic southern shrub that we use a ton here in the South, abelias. Now, there are abelias of every color and shape. Mostly are going to be that nice rounded habit. Mucho Gusto is from our friends at Proven Winners, and this is such a fun one. I have it at the Chicken Coop Gardens, and I love it. When I say that my Mucho Gusto is completely neglected, I have to say it's completely neglected, because I can hear people right now saying, Jenny, you don't know my soil. I have horrible red clay soil. Well, guess what? Abelias thrive in that. Beautiful variegated foliage on Mucho Gusto. Your abelias are going to have that nice rounded habit. Basically think of a 3x3. They will come in a host of colors. So depending on your color palette and your personal preference, you can choose from a variety of them. I chose Mucho Gusto today because it does have that classic color and will pair beautifully with all the other plants along your foundation. Your abelias are going to do nice, sweet little white flowers at the end of the season. Your pollinators love them. Definitely going to be full sun. If you have any maintenance on this, what you're going to do is coming out of winter, going into spring, give it a little haircut. It keeps a nice tight habit when you do that, and this goes for all of your abelias. You can just get your clippers and just shear it back, I don't know, by a third, a fourth of it, and it keeps a nice tight habit. So Mucho Gusto, nice rounded habit, sweet white flowers at the end of the season, and just a classic, elegant color for the front of your house. Now, if you like things bold and you want to have a nice pop of color, maybe your house is darker and you need some brightness brought to your house. Well, our friends at Southern Living have the ever popular Sunshine Ligustrum, and this is a tough plant, y'all. This is a great plant. When you have it in the full sun, which it needs, it will stay this beautiful chartreuse yellow color throughout the entire year. This one's going to be a little bit bigger, right? So you can tell by its habit, it's going to be a little bit more columnar in its habit. It is going to be a little bit bigger because depending on your house, you may have one corner or your entire foundation, you need something higher. This is great for the back of the flower bed. You can put this in the back because of that chartreuse bright color on it. Maybe put something darker in front of it. We've got a couple of options here that we can share with you that they really accentuate one another. If you put it in a little bit more shade, it's simply going to turn green. So this definitely needs a minimum of 6 hours of bright, direct sun to keep that chartreuse color. Again, once a year. Coming out of winter, going into spring, we're going to give it a haircut. You can easily cut this thing back by a third or a half. It will keep it nice and tight. It would naturally want to stay in that 3-4 foot range if you were to never prune it, or if you have one that is extremely mature. You could let it go up to that 5 foot range, but you really want to keep a nice tight habit on this and keep that gorgeous chartreuse color on your Sunshine Ligustrum. I'm telling you, y'all, we use these things all over the place and they are great. They are also sterile, so you don't have to worry about having little Sunshine Ligustrums popping up all over in your yard. No flowers, but you don't need flowers when you have this beautiful color of your Sunshine Ligustrum. If you know Jenny at all, if you've spent more than 5 minutes with me, especially in the summertime, you will know already what my favorite flower is, right? I adore this flower, and it is an iconic, classic southern shrub. What am I talking about? The gardenia, my friends. Gardenias are great foundational plantings, depending again on what your requirements are for your house, how big your foundation is, what size you want that plant to be. You have gardenias in all shapes. You can get the kind, especially the old-timey ones, can get really big. This is pillow talk. One requirement for me on a gardenia is it's gotta have a double bloom. I tend to be a little bit of a gardenia snob. I love that double bloom with that classic gardenia fragrance. The reason that I love pillow talk also is because it's gonna be much more petite. It's not gonna be gigantor and take over your entire garden. Basically 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. Of course, your gardenias keep that glossy evergreen foliage. They do really well in those hot areas in your garden. And they, again, require that full sun. So a minimum of that 6 hours of sun. But when you're talking about welcoming not only yourself, but guests into your home, having that lovely fragrance of a gardenia nearby, because you can smell this from, feet away, it is wonderful. And then you get these beautiful white flowers. And here it is, the literal end of October, and this thing is still flowering, right? It is crazy. These have been sitting outside. We've had multiple nights in the 30s, and it is still blooming and still putting on buds. So you get a long bloom period with Pillow Talk in a more petite, manageable size. Next, these are great ones, especially if you are looking to get the most bang for your buck on your foundational plantings that literally require no maintenance whatsoever. This is a Diphyllum, and this Diphyllum is a classic evergreen, and there are tons of Diphyllums out there that will give you some a little bit difference in sizes and leaf structure as far as how big the leaves are. Now, this one is swing low. You're gonna love Diphyllums if you want something that is wider than it is tall. So maybe your foundation is not very tall. You need something short and low. Swing low is going to be great for you. When we're talking about swing low, we love this because it only gets 2 to 3 feet tall, but it can get 4 to 6 feet wide. So you are going to get a lot of coverage with this low growing, has a blue-green foliage hue to it, and it is an absolutely gorgeous plant. It is also deer resistant, it is drought tolerant, just an easy, low maintenance, gorgeous shrub. And with this foliage, you can easily, again, you could put it in the front, middle of the bed or the back, simply depending on what the layout of your house is. And then you could put some fun things in front of it to bring some pops of color. So swing low Diphyllum is a great option if you want to take up a lot of room with one plant. And then last, but not necessarily least, on the sun side, we have a fun Cryptomeria. Now, a Cryptomeria is a gorgeous evergreen shrub. So we actually have trees at our house that are Cryptomerias. They're massive. They would not be good foundation plantings. However, Dragon Prince is going to be a great one for you. It naturally has this great mounded habit. You are not going to need to prune this at all. Mounded habit to it, again, the prick factor is very low, so you can walk by. It's not going to attack you as you pass by. Classic, beautiful green foliage on it that stays beautiful and green year round. You can choose other plants around it to accentuate the color and have them pop off of one another, but just a low maintenance, very easy, gorgeous Dragon Prince Cryptomeria. Now, the next category of plants, we're going to go a little bit more on the shade-loving side, and one of these, I actually brought you 3 different ones to look at because we are talking about Laur Pedums. Now, Laur Pedums are a classic southern shrub, and they come in a wide range of sizes. This is why I brought you 3 different ones, because depending on your foundation will depend on the size of the Laur Pedum that you are going to need. We love Laur Pedums. They're evergreen. They typically are going to be in that deep, deep purple foliage color on them. In the late winter, early spring, they're going to do little, typically a hot pink. They could be red or they could be white flowers. It's also known as a Chinese fringe flower because the flowers actually look like they have been shredded. So what we have here is a beautiful one. You can see that it is of good size. Now, this is Ever Red, and Ever Red is going to have red blooms. So instead of a hot pink bloom, you're going to have more in that red family. This one is going to be 5 to 6 feet tall and wide. It's going to be a little bit on the bigger side. Again, depending on where you are and what you need, this could be a perfect option for you. We find really here at the nursery though, a lot of people don't need a 5 to 6 foot on the front of their house. So another huge seller for us that we cannot keep these in stock typically is Purple Daydream. Purple Daydream comes from our friends at Southern Living, and this is going to be much more petite. This is going to be basically in that 3 foot range. Nice, again, deep dark purple flowers, leaves on it, and you have your classic hot pink flowers in late winter. Your Laur Pedums can be full sun to part shade. So if you get only, say, 4 hours of sun on your garden, a Laur Pedum is still going to work really well for you. As a general rule, Laur Pedums, we shape them once a year. If you need to prune it, go ahead and do it in late winter, going into spring, so that it keeps a nice tight habit on it. Now, one that is really fun from our friends at Proven Winners is the Jazz Hands Variegated. So where I told you that your Laur Pedums typically have those nice deep dark purple leaves on it, obviously the Jazz Hands Variegated has multiple colors. So you get creams and greens and pinks. It is stunning. Now the size on this one is 4 to 6 tall, 4 foot wide. So kind of in that upper medium size. A lot of people will either love this or they're like, I'm not so sure about it. But it does bring a gorgeous pop of color and different interest to your garden. You literally could have, say, Ever Red in the back, and then you could intermingle Jazz Hands Variegated in there with it, and it's a completely different look, even though they're both Laur Pedums. Not everybody's house is in full sun, right? We have houses in full sun, part sun, and in shade. So the next three are going to be for those that have more predominant shade for that front of the house or that foundation that you are looking to dress up. Y'all, I adore this plant. Can you tell why I love this plant? This is Florida Sunshine. It is an Alyssum. It is an anise. So it has these gorgeous evergreen chartreuse leaves on it. A little bit more of a waxy texture to it. The stems have a reddish hue. Because it is an Alyssum and it is an anise, it has a licorice scent to it when you either crush the leaves or you break the stems. Therefore, it is more deer resistant. Deer evidently do not like licorice. And so this is a great shrub for your shade garden. Now this is definitely going to be on that shade side. It can do, here in the south, I would say maybe 3 to 4 hours of early morning sun. Definitely not hot afternoon sun. It will just melt. It does not like it. It likes the shade. Oftentimes in the shade, we have, especially with your house, if you have your house in the shade, it seems dark, and sometimes your house can kind of blend in and not stand out. When you put that Florida Sunshine up against that foundation, it brings a nice big pop of color and brings people's eyes right to your house, and it really accentuates and brings a lot of curb appeal to those shady areas of your house. More columnar habit on it. If you need to prune it, again, late winter going into spring, and I literally would just come in and just shape it. So if you have some limbs that have gotten a little taller, we just want to come in and just prune it just a little bit, give it a nice rounded shape to it, and then as it goes into the growing season, it will fill out even more nice, tight, and compact. So Florida Sunshine. Brand new on the market, like literally like hot off the presses, is Paisley Pup. Now Paisley Pup is a dog hobble. It is a gorgeous plant. It has creams, it has green, it has pink in it. Nice mounded habit to it. Basically 3 to 4 feet tall, 4 to 5 feet wide. Beautiful evergreen. Again, it can do like morning sun or filtered sun, not hot afternoon sun. You're going to notice if you get hot afternoon sun on these plants, you're going to get some burn on the leaves, which we don't want. It'll do beautiful, fragrant little flowers in the spring, but it is just a great native evergreen shrub that has tons of gorgeous color that you can add directly to your landscape. Love this new Paisley Pup, and it has been wildly popular both online and here at the nursery. We cannot keep it in stock, so the Paisley Pup is a really fun new addition. Also, relatively new on the market within the last couple of years is the Sweet and Low Sarcocoa from our friends at Proven Winners. I have this in the garden up at the chicken coop. It gets morning sun and then it is in the shade for the rest of the day. It is not on irrigation. It is up amongst pine trees, so there's a lot of root competition with it, but it is gorgeous and it is holding its own in that challenging clay situation Gorgeous, nice dark glossy green leaves to it. Your Sweet and Low gets its name because in coming out of winter and into spring, it is going to put on these sweet little maroon colored flowers that obviously have a lovely fragrance to it. Now I will say, if you put the Sweet and Low, it can go in areas like I have it where it's a little bit more challenging up amongst trees and it's very dry. If you put it in areas that stay a little bit more damp, it is going to naturalize a little bit. Now, not like a crazy invasive, it's going to take over the world, but your shrub is going to spread out. It is nice and petite. At the most, it gets like 2.5 feet tall, and then depending on how much water it gets, it will gently spread in that 2 to 3 foot range. Very easy to manage. I even have one in a container, and it is fantastic. So whether you have full sun, you have part sun, or you have full shade, there is a foundation planting for you. We love foundation plants because that is like the first impression that people get of your house, whether it's driving by or they're coming to visit. It is also, I like to think, a reflection of your personality, right? Because depending on your personality and what you like and what you dislike, it is your home. Make it your home. Use those plants that you love. Life is too short to have plants in the front of your house that you don't like, right? If you don't like them, let's pull those out. Let's find some ones that you love. So when you pull up to your house, you're excited to come home and to welcome guests to your home with your beautiful landscape. We hope you found this fun, informative. If you need any help, we would love to help you here at Creekside. We are open on Wednesdays through Saturdays, 9 to 3. Y'all, I keep telling you this, the fall is the perfect time to be landscaping here in the South. We are landscaping like crazy. If you've noticed any of our videos, I'm planting. The temperatures outside are a little bit cooler. The soil is still nice and warm. We're getting somewhat more consistent rain than we do in the summertime. And this is a great time to get these plants in, get those roots established before the heat of the summer hits. They will not miss a beat, and they will just be right at home in your garden at home. As always, we appreciate you. Y'all have an amazing day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.